thank you. And we move on to item 15, the Public Space Protection Order consultation on pages 112 to 151. Moved by Councillor Harvey.
I second.
Thank you.
Happy to take questions. Happy to take questions.
Councillor Carson.
Thank you, Chairman. This is all very much mother and apple pie. It's very welcome. Hopefully it can be made to work properly if it's adequately resourced, which is the sort of main concern and not really addressed, or at least I wasn't able to discern from the report what resources were going into it. Just a couple of detailed questions. Obviously one of the big issues is cycling in the town centre, which is an absolute pain in the backside and everywhere else. But what steps would the council be taking to provide more parking for bicycles? I noticed earlier on today that Councillor Wilkinson had to park his bike outside the leisure centre because we don't have any outside the...
What do that done? CCTV the others haven't.
Oh yeah, actually.
They've already had bike nicks.
That sums up precisely. What steps are we going to take to ensure that cyclists do have somewhere to put their bikes when they go shopping?
I think the first point you made, or question you raised, was around resourcing. So just to address that, we have the 3 PCSOs working in the shopping areas, and this is a specific resource for them to use in their work, as I understand it. So that is the resource behind the order, assuming the consultation goes through and goes well. In terms of bike racks, I can't talk about the town centre, but I can certainly talk about in my ward, where I know for a fact that we are going to have more bike racks, which is important because it's going to be one of the wards where we hope that we can run this order through. But Councillor Strachan, you might have something to add to that.
Just to inform that it'll be in the consultation as well, but there is a rolling programme of new bike racks being installed around the town centre, so there will be a lot of new bike in safe, secure areas. All that infrastructure is in place and the money's been allocated, and the first one's already been put in place. So the first one will be in Post Office Walk, and there will be others put around the town centre over the next year.
If I may have another question or comment. Also on page 115, paragraph 21C, could be a ban on ball games, which does seem to be a bit of a pity, as we just directed a number of table tennis tables in the Market Square. I'm wondering which hand is going to be working there, and whether that left hand know what the right hand's doing.
I'll just answer that. Actually, you might as well read it, Simon. It actually says throwing, kicking, catching, running with ball or any other object. It doesn't say anything about batting them. So
You haven't seen me play table tennis.
Any further questions? Any statements?
Yeah. As ward councillor for the area, the Tobruk area, as ward councillor for the Tobruk area, can I sort of welcome this? It's certainly not before time, and I hope that the public consultation, when it goes out and comes back, is fully supportive of this. Can I also point out, though, that we've got other significant issues within the town with regard to wider crime and the need for enhanced police activity. In May, I went on the Police UK website today, and in May 2017 there were 136 reported crimes in the town centre area. In May 2018 there were 192 reported crimes within this area, and that's just reported, so it's something like a 14% increase. We also know that over the last, 3 months? Certainly March, April onwards, there's been significant problems around the Adams House area. Significant in terms of we've had businesses down there feeling intimidated, we've had businesses witnessing at times violent behaviour. We've had, we know that some of that behaviour is probably drug related. I've spoken to Marissa in terms of the activity that that her team are doing, and she's informed me about how they've been monitoring the situation and seeking to address the situation. She's also informed me how they've very much encouraged businesses, etc., to be making certain that they're reporting these incidents and the incidents going through. I also spoke yesterday to Tony Walker, who's police inspector, about the issues. Because from my conversation as far as Marissa is concerned, what she was saying in terms of monitoring stuff, a lot of that has now been done. They know who the people are, they know and they've done a whole lot of work behind that. The question now is about disrupting the behaviour and making certain it doesn't happen. In order to do that, there is going to be a need for increased police activity within the town. And I know, and now I'm going to speak on a cross-party basis because I know that Robert Halfon is called for increased police activity within the town. You did that in your Harlow earlier on. Certainly we, as a party, the Labour Party, have called for increased police activity within the town. And my hope is that we can now, as a united, in a united way, go back to call for increased visible police activity within the town centre to actually address these specific issues. Because my fear is we've now got the school holidays that start this week, as it were. We've had all this sort of behaviour that's been going on for quite some months now, and now's the time to address it. And the only way we're going to be able to address it, and from talking to Marissa and also from my conversation with the police inspector, the only way we're going to be able to address it is with increased police visibility. Whether that's in a short-term programme or whatever, but we need it, and we need it now. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor.
First of all, can I welcome this report and the powers for creating public space protection orders? Yeah, I agree with Tony. I think this court's cross-party support. There are just a couple of comments I have, though, over the way forward and how we take the piece of legislation and then the specific order that the Act allows to do this kind of work. Clearly, every councillor here tonight could talk about pockets of issues around antisocial behaviour in their wards, and that's just a sad reality of life. One of the things I think police and as community leaders we need to work on as this comes into force is making sure isolated issues that happen in the town centre then don't disperse into other communities in the town, and that's at the forefront of everyone's mind, and that would be something that we're watching with for community leaders and of course the police constables that operate in the town. There are specific issues in Old Harlow, and we're working successfully, I have to say, with the officers, the community safety team, and some other people that are involved in crime fighting agencies in the town. I think we're very lucky with the sort of dynamic police officers that we do have in this town, who are very willing and able to work with community leaders to try and resolve these issues. I have to say the police still attend community meetings in Old Harlow to talk to local residents, and that's a success story for the town and how community policing should be done. But we should also recognise that the Police and Crime Commissioner is recruiting full-time police officers. Actually, Harlow, when we look at the figures, is benefiting from that recruitment. We're getting full-time police constables coming to the town as a result of that opening of recruitment, and that's a good thing. But clearly, as this dispersal order is put into force, along with the consultation, and we iron out some of these issues, I very much hope that we focus on making sure that pockets of issues then don't disperse and go to other areas in the town.
Thank you, Jay. You see, I wasn't quick enough. I totally welcome the report as Councillor Charles, and I'm sure every councillor around the table. I share Joel's concern about not pushing antisocial behaviour from one part of the town to the other, and I look forward to how we could potentially roll this out across the town. We were here using this Act a couple of years ago with conversations with the police, but they wanted to take a much more draconian stance and not work with us. They wanted to just do what the police wanted to do, and it's good to see now that this is coming forward and works really well. And obviously I've put on record my thanks. There's the contributing officer on this, Marisha. Her team is absolutely incredible, and I think, you know, any councillors that haven't spent some time out on the street with them, please do. Last time it was a number of years ago, but I think over the years, Marisha's team, for quite a small team, punches well above its weight and is held up as an example of the way they work with the police across both Essex and Hertfordshire, and I think we owe them a debt of thanks. I'd like to welcome Councillor Edwards' contribution. I know politically we don't see eye to eye on many things, and I know we could widen out the police debate into a lot of other areas that I don't really want to go into. If there is anything I can do to support you in the suggestion of getting those police officers out of the station and into the town centre, I'm quite happy to stand with you and do that. And I'm just reminded, Chair, I want to tell you, on Friday I was talking to an ex-Chief Superintendent of the Met, is a councillor in Shearing, in fact, and I was talking to him about policing, and he was saying, actually, Essex Police really need to modernise. And I said, well, how do you mean? And he said, well, did you realise that in some places around the country, when you phone up and say, oh, a plant pot's been nicked from outside my house, and Essex Police at the moment say, okay, well, we'll come and take a statement from you on Wednesday afternoon, and then they phone up on Wednesday afternoon and say, sorry, we can't make it, we'll come next Thursday afternoon, and then they say, actually, we'll be there next Friday. And at the end of the day, they take a statement and say, I had a plant pot that was stolen from outside of my house, I didn't give anyone permission to take the plant pot looked like this, blah, blah, blah. And they take that statement. All of that is actually really unnecessary. They know at the very beginning they're not going to catch whoever nicked that thing. They know that you want a crime reference number for your insurance company, and actually there's a great deal of police time wasted in doing those things, and a number of forces up and down the country have actually dispensed with some of that and said, actually, we'll be up front, we're not going to catch the little scrope that's done that, and we're going to give you your crime number, and we're just going to close that case there. Because what we're going to do is spend our time out in the hotspots, like Councillor was talking about, patrolling those areas, giving a visible presence, and spending the time that we do have actually making an impact. And I think, anything we can do as a council to persuade Essex Police to modernise in that way and make best use of the resources they've got, whatever we all feel about the resources, I think would be most welcome.
I can come back very briefly. The issue for me, here and now, is visible policing. It's quite simple. And one can get into a whole debate if we're not careful about the way the efficiency or the way that the Essex Police are working or not working, and whether the funding, etc., is not working. In terms of the discussions that I've already had, I've been told that additional police will be coming in January, which is welcomed. On the other hand, we have a problem in the town centre now. If that needs to be, and if they need to get additional policing from across Essex into our town centre to address it, then that's what needs to be done. And that's what I would be hoping, that we can say, okay, never mind the debate about, the efficient ways of working, etc., because that's a much larger debate. In terms of the resources that need to be pulled into the town centre now to address the issues, this is a serious problem and it needs to be addressed seriously by the police. And if we can do anything collectively to do that, I would certainly welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. There's no other statements. I'll sum up very briefly. I want to share my admiration for Marissa's team. I've been down there. They are truly fantastic. I enjoyed your story, Andrew. It's not just not useful for police officers to turn up on something as minor as a plant pot, but it's also very unlikely, because we mustn't forget the tweet very recently about a single police officer being on duty in Harlow in one particular night, just one. So it is a matter of resourcing, amongst other matters like modernisation. So I welcome the fact that Essex are recruiting some additional police officers. I think, if memory serves correctly, they're looking for 150, which doesn't compensate really for the 400 they've already cut. However, I'm happy to work with the opposition here. I'm meeting with Robert Halfon very shortly, and this is a matter that we will talk about there, see if we can get our MP to support us in encouraging more policing immediately. And we're also meeting with the Police and Crime Commissioner in the next few weeks, and Councillor Edwards, you can be assured I shall bring that matter up immediately. Actually, there will be a letter going out in the next day or two. So we are now voting on I've turned the page too quickly, the Public Space Protection Order, pages 112 to 115. Are we all agreed?